What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update and a little bit of an action-packed one. A lot of transfer rumours doing the rounds at the moment. And let's start off with OK Dario. I don't know how reliable this is, but I'm not going to think it's too reliable.
OK Dario?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound that reliable.
No, it doesn't. But they say, or he says, or they say, Daniel Levy was reportedly keen to sign Eden Hazard on loan from Real Madrid. However, Antonio Conte has vetoed the move, stating that the Belgium did not work hard enough in training during his time managing Chelsea.
Well, if we're talking about overweight players, I think there we go. I think that's probably part of the reason. He's been overweight for like 2 years now, Eden Hazard. But yeah, look, he was great under Conte, to be fair, although he fell away obviously in the second season. But if he says he doesn't think he's going to train hard, look,
That was his best season, wasn't it, under Conte?
Arguably, yeah, arguably. He had a great season that year. Great season. If he thinks he's not going to work hard enough or has enough intensity, it makes complete sense that he wouldn't want him back. And that's exactly what Conte wants. He wants intensity. He wants players to be doing the hard yards. And yeah, I think he created a system under at Chelsea which allowed Hazard a bit of a free role. He didn't have to do as hard as work as the other players. But I think maybe at Tottenham, I don't think we can afford to have players like that, maybe.
It's amazing, like players like Hazard, Bale aside, but Hazard, one of the best players in the world when he was in the Premier League, and just fallen off an absolute cliff. It's actually sad to see.
I think, yeah,
I
think Bale has more goals for Tottenham in that one season. Hazard has appearances for Madrid. It's a bit ridiculous. Like, Hazard just doesn't get on the pitch ever. And the pictures of him being overweight, that was just an indictment. They spent 100 million on him, remember, and that has been
a year left in his contract.
One of the worst flops of all time at this point.
Sad to see, isn't it?
It is sad to see because he was
an absolute baller.
He was a delight to watch
at his
time. And obviously, if he came to Spurs and he was playing like that, then I'd love him. But I think that time's gone.
When you talk about Hazard in his prime as well, when he was in the Premier League in his prime, right? You won't find many players better than him in his prime.
Yeah, but I feel like as well, he never hit the heights he could have.
Yeah,
even in
I've
the
said
Premier
that
League,
consistently.
He should have been a 25 goal a season player. Yeah. He was always around the 15 mark, and that was always like. If he could if he had the work ethic of like a Harry Kane or something, he could have maybe been that.
Definitely. Let's move on. This one is from Eduardo Inda. And he says, Antonio Conte has asked Tottenham to sign Gareth Bale on loan again in January. But Ali Gold, the Here We Gold, has pushed back on that. And he says there is currently nothing to the Gareth Bale rumours. And just a week into his reign at Spurs, with Conte just a week into his reign at Spurs, Conte and Paratici have yet to discuss potential new signings for the January transfer window or next summer. So you can pour those cold waters right over.
Or maybe they know.
Gareth Bale's injured anyway.
Maybe in Spain they know something we don't. But anyway, was it El Chigrito as well? They said something.
Yeah.
Tic tac. Tic tac. Tic tac. I love that. It's my favourite thing in the world. But Bale, I don't think Bale is coming back is going to be a thing. I know he did well. Look, he did do well when he was back here last year. I believe that 11 goals and 20 starts. But if you actually look at his stats in terms of the amount of pressures in sprints he was doing, he was actually quite low. So I think, look, if he was to come...
Wasn't everyone quite low in the Jose Mourinho system?
Probably. No, I think in terms of the squad. In terms of percentile of the squad, he was quite low. But I think if he was to come and be like an impact sub, I think in Conte's system that could work. I don't think Conte would want him to be a starter. I just don't think having him and Kane in a forward line in terms of the intense system he wants is going to work. It's like Klopp wouldn't be able to make Bale work, kind of thing. So I think Bale, he's just too expensive for what we need him for, unfortunately.
Yeah, but what people want to say about him, and some people consider him as a flop when he came.
No, it wasn't a flop.
And the output and the goals output, you can't argue with it, can you?
No, and if Conte wants him, then I'll be all for it because clearly he feels like he can fit him into the system in a way that would work for everyone. But I just feel like Conte's not going to want him. I don't see Conte trying to implement this system with Gareth Bale in there, who I know he has a great output, a great fight, and he can make the final pass or the final shot, but. In terms of it's similar to Hazard, like it might be a bit of a passenger otherwise, and we need everyone on the same page.
The last bit from Ali Gold is Tottenham will look to make adjustments where necessary in January transfer window once Antonio Conte has fully assessed his squad and worked with them.
Yeah.
So everyone on that clean slate at the moment.
Yeah, it makes sense. Why are you going to discuss transfers a weekend? You need to look at your squad. This is why it's so annoying that he's starting this job so late, 4 months in, when we could have hired him 4 months ago, because now we're kind of playing catch up in terms of knowing who he wants, who he doesn't want, where to improve. We could have always used all that time in the 4 months for him assessing the squad, and we could have known by now at this point who he wants to get rid of and who he wants. But now he doesn't know because he's only been in the job a week, so he needs the time to assess it.
So basically this season's just a glorified pre-season for next year.
Look, I think we could have screwed up our whole January plans by the whole delay and everything, by the whole Nuno thing. I think that might well have screwed up our January a bit.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's move on. AS are talking about Lo Celso's transfer. And let me just read this out. It says, Lo Celso's transfer to Spurs will be judged at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. A €16 million difference is causing an issue, and PSG want more of a cut. There is a disagreement whether PSG's sell-on clause applied to the loan or the full transfer fee. Betis were due to pay PSG 20% of the gains from a transfer. However, the Seville club insisted this is only applied to the €32 million and not the €16 million paid for the loan.
Yeah, that's basically a bit of clever accounting from Daniel Levy. Instead of paying so what was it, 32 plus 16, so that's 48 million. So we paid 40 million for Lo Celso, so you split it into a 16 million loan. So we basically loaned him for a season for the price of 16 million, which is a very expensive loan, and then paid 32 million to make it permanent, which we probably were going to make it permanent.
More clever
anyway.
Accounting from Betis, isn't it? Because they're the ones that are going to be losing out the money, not us.
Yeah, correct. But also us, because Levy probably didn't want to sum up 48 million in one go.
Of course, yeah.
So that was probably what he was thinking. So I think PSG will feel aggrieved, but there's nothing they can do. A sell-on clause is a clause 20% on the sell-on fee. They didn't sell him for 48; they sold him for 32. Then with a loan deal of 16, they're not entitled to anything that's 16. So they might be frustrated because, in a way, they know the 16 should have been part of the fee. But that's just how that's the deal was structured. And look, PSG can't complain because they did the same thing with Mbappe. They loaned him for a whole year for like 100 million and then bought him for another 100 million. Mm-hmm. So they can't come. That was to get around FFP. Yeah. So, you can't have your cake and eat it, PSG.
Exactly. Let's move on. The last bit of transfer news we've got is from Sean Walsh of 90 Min. And he says, Antonio Conte wants Tottenham Hotspur to sign a new goalkeeper. Andre Onana is a potential target, with the Italian being a long-term admirer of the Ajax keeper. What would you make out of that one? Would you welcome
interesting.
Onana?
I mean, look, I think in terms of if we want to keep who's much better with this ball at his feet than Lloris, and obviously if Lloris, I don't know if this will be his last year at Spurs or not. Now that Conte's there, I do get the feeling maybe he might stay on, but maybe they might want looking at a new direction. I think Onana is a very solid goalkeeper. I think in terms of shot stopping, reflex, all that kind of stuff, Lloris is much better. But in terms of a keeper who's much more comfortable with his feet, much more comfortable coming out of the box and things like that on rushing. How do you call it? Sweeping. I think he's a lot more comfortable with that side of the game. And obviously, when you see Ederson and Alisson, that's where the top keepers are specialising at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
Even Mendy's quite good at that as well. So maybe that's the direction Spurs are going, because Lloris is I love Lloris. One of the best keepers in the league at what he's good at. But in terms of the ball at his feet, we all know he's not very comfortable with that.
We've already got a ready-made song for him as well. Onana, that's his name.
There we go. That's going to be the whole stand, the South Stand's going to be singing that.
All right, we've got some quotes from Harry Kane from The Athletic. So, Sim, let's go through those.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously on international duty, and he was talking about his struggles at the beginning of the season. First of all, he was talking about the Italy final, and he was saying that he would never get over that game. He's probably never going to get over it in his life, in that Italy final, getting to the final of the Euros. And he said it's very mentally and very physically draining, and it all came to him as a bit of a whirlwind. And he said he's not looking for excuses. The only excuses he finds are within himself, and the only remedy is hard work. But the interesting quotes where he was talking about the speculation in the summer, and he went on to say. Obviously there was a lot of talk and speculation over the summer. This is the first time it's really happened to me, but this is part and parcel of being a big player, and I think I coped with it well, which is interesting phrasing. He's saying he coped with it well. Obviously, given his form, a lot of people would argue he hasn't coped with it well. But maybe, he would put that down to, as you say, the summer tournament and how physically draining that is. Because as we've said before, a lot of players who have been at the Euros have struggled so far at the start of the season, not just Kane. But because obviously when you add in the speculation, it adds a narrative that his mind's not there anymore, which is hard to disagree with. But it'll be interesting to know. Maybe time will tell. Now Conte's at the helm, if we can get his mind right, or if it's not his mind, if he can get physically right again.
I do. Excuse me. I do think that Conte will get Kane back firing. I genuinely do believe that. But in terms of his quote saying he thinks he handled it well, I don't know. It's a hard one to say, isn't it? Because you don't know why these poor performances have come to the pitch. Is it a culmination of kind of the summer and the transfer rumours altogether?
And also skipping training. Is that coping well?
Exactly.
I mean,
but we don't even know if that was true. We don't even know if that was true. So it's hard to say. I mean, we were told that he was on Joe Lewis's resort. So would he really be on Joe Lewis resort if he's missing training?
Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very. The whole thing was strange.
The whole thing's a mess. Nobody knows actually what happened. Nobody knows the real story. Obviously, right at the beginning of the summer, before the season actually ended, he did that interview with Gary Neville, and that never sat right with me. It sounded like to me from that interview he was just whoring himself out to Man City, and it seemed like he expected to move to Man City whilst doing that interview. Obviously, it didn't come off for whatever reason, but it's hard to say whether he's handled it well or not. It really is, because we don't know the whole ins and outs.
When you think about Kane in the summer, like why he was frustrated and why he wanted to leave, like the reasons why he wanted to leave and why he was frustrated, they never got addressed. In fact, they probably got worse. Appointing Nuno, not improving the squad massively, especially in his position, not lightening the workload in terms of how much we rely on him. That was all, and also being in a position to compete, like for Champions League or whatever. Like those are all the things he was frustrated about.
Yeah.
And not only was he denied his move to City, but all the things he was frustrated about got worse. So obviously he's human. Those are going to play on his mind. But now we have Conte. Hopefully that can start to change.
Yeah, I always said that I've never believed, and I don't believe that he would purposely down tools. I think he's way too professional to that. But people are just human at the end of the day. He's just a human being at the end of the day. And when you've got these gripes with the club and they get considerably worse during that summer where you've literally tried to move, or Man City have been heavily interested in you, and you've put yourself out there saying you're heavily interested in Man City, it was always going to be the case, in my opinion, always going to be the case that he wouldn't down tools himself, but mentally it all happens up there, what I mean?
Exactly. He needs a character to get into him like Conte, to get him firing again. And I don't know if it'll happen instantly, but it will happen. I'm 100% sure it's going to happen. I think the fears of all the concerns of us, whether we had with Kane throughout the first 10 games, they'll go away. I'm certain of it, because I think that Conte is the right guy, especially with his record recently with strikers as well, how he gets them firing. And I think the Conte appointment could actually secure his long-term future at Tottenham.
Well,
I genuinely think that.
Let's hope so. He needs to sign on the dotted line, doesn't he?
Because Conte is not going to accept, especially if we are competing and challenging and in a good position as a squad or in the league, Conte is not going to accept us selling Kane.
Whose contract runs out first, Conte or Kane?
Conte.
So
with
the
year extension, it would be
the same.
Same.
Yeah. All right. I mean, everyone's down 2023. Kane. No, Kane's 24, right?
Well, I tell you, we have 4 managers who all had contracts.
I know. That's what I was about to say. Jose Mourinho, Pochettino, Nuno, and Conte.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Nuts. All right, let's move on and let's give you a bit of an international roundup. Only one international game with our players have been played so far, and that's South Korea today, 11 a.m. kickoff against United Arab Emirates. It finished 1-0 to South Korea, with Hyun-Min Son playing 90 minutes, with Hwang scoring the goal from the penalty spot, with Hwang taking over Sonny's penalty roles for South Korea.
Well, is that ominous? Is he being traded out? Maybe Hwang's going to be the darling of South Korea and back in the Premier League now. Son's on the out Out skis.
And then tonight we're going to see Republic of Ireland at home to Portugal in a World Cup qualifier rerun of the game from last international break. Quite a fiery game when obviously Portugal just won that in the last few minutes.
Tune into David Harris's watch along.
Exactly.
Right?
Tune in to David Harris. Obviously,
Exactly.
Matt Doherty and Troy Parrott have been called up.
That was quite an explosive one, was it? Two goals in the last minute last time. That was Harris's reaction.
And Ronaldo should have been sent off as well.
Yeah, that was, mate. David Harris. Oh, that was so. You have to go watch his watch along, like back.
I'll be tuning in. That's
definitely.
For sure. Senegal are away to Togo tonight, 7 p.m. Papa Sarr is in the squad, and England under 21s take on Czech Republic tonight with Ollie Skip being in the squad. And then at midnight, 12:30, you get to see Brazil against Colombia with Emerson Royale and Davinson Sanchez going head to head tonight.
Sounds like I'm doing an all-nighter.
Yeah, all-nighter tonight. Who wants to watch along for the Brazil-Colombia game tonight?
Half asleep, just like I think Sanchez has the ball.
All right, well, that is your Tottenham update today, guys. Let me know in the comments section below if you have any thoughts regarding any of the news stories that we've brought you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.